Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Chalk Talk, made possible by the Basketball Coaches Association of Michigan. My name is Kara Liles, and joining us this week is Rockford girls basketball coach Brad Wilson. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. We're so excited to have you.
Hey, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've been in this basketball world for a little bit of time now. Why don't you walk me through your basketball journey and how you got here to Rockford?
Yeah, so I started my basketball coaching career at Belding High School. I coached seventh grade basketball to start out, and eventually became the freshman coach there at the high school, and then got promoted to be the JV coach, and then eventually the varsity coach. So I have a pretty good lens on what it means to build a program at Belding. I was fortunate enough to have a pretty good group of freshmen that first year that I became a varsity coach, and really gave me a foundation to work with and kind of mold into the system that I like to implement. And I was only there for 4 years as a varsity coach, but in that time we kind of transformed that program from a 3 or 4 win program to 18 wins and a conference championship and district championship. And so I was really proud of what we accomplished there. Life circumstances took me to Rockford. My wife works in Grand Rapids. I was working in Belding. My wife got pregnant with our first child, Luke, and we really I wanted to coach and to teach and to live kind of all in the same community. Rockford was smack dab in the middle of Belding and in Grand Rapids, and that's why we lived there. And so all the stars aligned. There happened to be a job opening in Rockford, and so 7 years ago I took a teaching job at the Rockford Freshman Center. Coached boys basketball for a year at the JV level and really enjoyed that. The varsity coach took the Cornerstone University head coaching job, and I was fortunate enough to become the girls coach in Rockford. And sorry, it's kind of a long-winded explanation, but at the end of the day, at Rockford, we have really transformed our program from, again, I don't think they won maybe a playoff game in like 7 years or something like that, they had told me. And, we've won 3 straight district championships, and last year made it to the Breslin Center. And with a win tonight, we'll win our first conference championship since 2010. So had a lot of success and really enjoy it.
You mentioned Coach Yonker. I mean, she was there for about a decade. What was it like taking over that program and really trying to make it your own?
Yeah, well, obviously, she's a fantastic coach and a great person, and big shoes to fill for sure. But I kind of just tried to be me, and with the little bit of success that I had at Belding, I kind of knew what it took to build a program, kind of what the blueprint looked like. The feeder program was really important to me, and so in Rockford, fortunately, there were a lot of people that were invested in that as well. And over the last few years, we've been able to create a youth program that I really think is second to none. And I think that might have been missing before. And so, anyways, we started the Rock program, which is a program for kids third grade through middle school, and lots of camps, lots of skill development. And so, to answer your question, really I just tried to be who I am and start a feeder program and start skill developing year round, and develop girls into, mold them into what we wanted them to become. So that's kind of how we did it.
You mentioned, spending time with the youth in the program. How important is it to sort of build that program up from the ground and not just focus on your varsity program?
It's critical. They're kind of like your lifeline, your future, if you will. So we started a league for our kindergarten through second grade. I've got an extra vested interest in that I have a daughter coming up and a son who's in that grade level. I coached their practice last night. So, and then, we have camps for them in the summer. Third through fifth grade, we have a community ed league plus the Rock program plus summer stuff. And again, middle school, same principle. So I think it's really important. I think to be competitive at the Division I level at a school like Rockford, you've got to get them hooked early. Hopefully they fall in love with the game and they're willing to put in the time. And as the head coach, I think it's appropriate for us to just give them as many opportunities to get better as we can. And so that's what we've done. But I think having a feeder program is really priority number one.
You mentioned doing stuff in the summertime, and I know that you like to take your girls on camps during the summer. How important is it to build that team chemistry before the season even gets going?
It's critical. As far as the varsity team is concerned, team chemistry and culture is our number one priority in the off season. We do weightlifting and conditioning and skill workouts, and we go and we play games. But most importantly, we just try to really push what we call "we over me," which is like our team culture concept, where it's all about the team and your commitment, the way you act in the classroom, in the community, and when you're on the court with us. Is very important, and it should all be directed toward what can I do to help our team. We have some really good individual players that, with no doubt, will be playing in college, some of which at a pretty high level. But even with that, we really foster a team. It's not about you scoring 20 points. It's about, did our team win the game, and making that extra pass and trusting your teammates, loving your teammates, supporting your teammates. And let's face it, that stuff happens on a hot summer day somewhere in a gym where some kids are at the beach and we're practicing, we're playing somewhere, we're going to a camp, we're camping, or we're taking a trip to Cedar Point, or we're doing something like that where we're just really building that love for each other and that bond.
You mentioned Cedar Point. I know it's a long season, right? Are you guys, still continuing to bond this season? Is there team dinners? Are there trips? I mean, what do you guys do to really just stay connected throughout the season?
All of the above. So we do team dinners every Thursday night. I've got a group of parents that are just unbelievable, that kind of take turns in hosting, our kids. And so that gives them a chance to be together and share, a meal together. Just a couple of weeks. Well, on Saturday we went to a Calvin basketball game against Trine to see one of our old players, Sammy DeKuyper, who graduated last year, who's playing for Calvin. The weekend before that, I believe it was, one of the parents volunteers for a program called Make a Wish. It's through essentially they were making wigs for kids that sadly have lost their hair through their cancer treatments, and so. Magic Wig Foundation, I believe is what it was called. But anyways, our girls went in and made wigs for the day.
That is awesome.
But just things like that. I think basketball is a really good avenue to give them opportunities to do things that are bigger than ourselves, And so really throughout the season, we try to cater to that and really reinforce culture and doing things for our community as much as we can.
So we've talked about culture and all of the things that you guys do together, but I read something interesting about you. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're a canoe racer?
Yeah, I am. Wow, you must have...
I mean, I did my digging. I want to know, have you taken your team canoe racing?
Well, so we've never raced, but a couple years ago, we took the team up to my hometown, Grayling, Michigan. You probably never heard of it, but it's a small town, about 2.5 hours north of here, about an hour south of the bridge. Phenomenal river, the Asabo River, goes through my hometown, and so we took our kids up to Hartwick Pine State Forest and did a camping trip, did some team bonding. We scrimmaged some teams while we were up there, but we did do a trip down the river. No one tipped. We all made it to the finish, so that part was great. But I grew up right on the Asabo River. This huge race, it's a 120-mile adventure race called the Asabo River Canoe Marathon. literally went through my backyard and fell in love with it at a young age, and I've been racing since I was a kid. So that's a way for me to really alleviate stress and be outdoors and try to stay in shape and try to stay healthy. I teach health and phys ed, so I try to live that lifestyle and be a good example. And I'm older now, so it's a way that I can be competitive still, I guess. And it's just a great hobby. But yeah, the girls, they laugh about it and they think I'm just floating down the river with a cooler of food and stuff in there. But it's a little bit of work, and there's more skill involved than they thought. So they were a little bit humbled by that experience.
I love it. You've inspired me. I want to go canoe racing now. Well, you mentioned that, you're competitive, and you can tell, you're having an amazing season so far. Where do you see the rest of this season going? What are sort of your visions and hopes for the end of the season?
Well, fortunately for us, we have the skill and the drive and the desire to do great things. We set goals together. We knew where we were at. We knew where we wanted to go, and we talked a lot about how we were going to get there. And we really try not to focus on outcomes, but on actions. And honestly, every day at practice, I bring it up. We have to practice like we're champions each day and get better today than we were yesterday and win the day and all those things that you hear other coaches say, but really believe in it. And if we do that because of our skill level, all those other things, winning championships, will probably happen, or we're in a good position for those things to happen. So that process started just a few days after spring break last year. We trained all spring, all summer, all fall. And now, we're 4 months into a season, and we can reap the benefits from that, and so we kind of planted the seed and we worked really hard, kind of like a farmer. And now it's all grown up, and it's time to reap those benefits. So our girls know that it's time to, where some teams are kind of tapering off, some teams are ready for the season to be over. We're going to ramp it up.
How important is that everyone is, all in? Like, this is our time. This is everything that we've worked for. How important is that mindset going into the rest of the season?
It's critical. I met with some of my seniors literally yesterday, not because it hasn't been good, it's been great, but just to reemphasize and recharge them like, hey, this is your senior year, this is your last, this is a chance to leave a legacy. You want to be a state champion, you want to be the OK Red champion, blaze a new path. It starts now. You've got to bring it, energy, positivity, attitude, and when our leaders do that, it seems like the other kids kind of fall in line, if you will.
Yep.
There's a couple kids that are tired. They had a big exam or they've got some life stuff going on. The others can bring them up. And that's kind of what a brotherhood, a sisterhood, it's what a team is all about. So we try to emphasize that and hopefully peak at the right time. So that's the goal.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you so much for joining us. That is all we have on this edition of Chalk Talk. For more information on the Basketball Coaches Association of Michigan and to nominate a coach for Coach of the Week, simply visit bcam.org. Thanks so much again for chatting with us, Coach, and good luck the rest of the season.
Hey, thank you so much for having us on.